Hi, this is Dr. Joseph Baker from the Limerick Chiropractic Center, and we're going to be playing a little game tonight of this or that. In fact, this evening's workshop is titled This or That, Better Choices for Better Health. Now, it's really important because I want everybody to recognize you have a choice. Nobody stands over top of you telling you what to put into or onto your body. Let me say that again. Nobody tells you what to put into or onto your body. It's your choice. You're in charge. In fact, by the time that we're finished tonight, I'm going to go through a couple examples with you guys of choices that you have that you can make every single day that enable you either to build your body up or to cause it to break down more. Now, I think that, as we're playing this game, you recognize that there's a consequence. We all have consequences to the choices that we make. Building our body up means that we get to grow ourselves stronger. We get to grow ourselves to be healthier. We have the opportunity of living that more vitalistic life and releasing the anchors and the shackles that oftentimes hold us back. Or if we choose to make those less than better choices, the problem is that in the end, we have to pay the price for it. Some of us, some of you out there, right now, are paying the price for those choices. High cholesterol, high blood pressure, the eczema, the stomach aches, the constant indigestion, the acid reflux, the headaches, the nausea, the vomiting. These are all a result of the choices that you make. So, as we continue through this workshop tonight, I want you to think of not only what you're going to be seeing in the next few minutes, as far as the choices that you get to make, but I want you to think about what is it that you would be interested in improving in your own choices. Now, that's where that comment section below comes in. I want you to leave us a comment section so that we can help you. See, like anything, listen, we have the knowledge, we have the education, we have those resources. We want to help you make those better choices. But I was reminded tonight in the office that oftentimes the reason why we don't make the better choices is we just don't know that there's another choice out there. And we just want to help you make that better choice. By presenting the better choices, it's oftentimes not the hardest thing in the world to create these changes. So let's step into this. Now you're going to see a couple examples up here of different oils and different cooking products that you're going to find in pretty much everybody's household. In fact, if you go to your cupboard right now, you open the cupboard, you open the cabinet in your kitchen, you're probably going to see 1, 2, maybe 3 of those items on the top line there. The canola oil, the Crisco, the peanut oil, the Mazola. These are staples in most people's houses. In fact, they don't go through a little bit of this stuff. They're using it on a daily basis in their cooking and using it in order to make their salad dressings. The stuff on the bottom, you might not see quite as often. Things like the avocado oil, the ghee, the extra virgin olive oil. And listen, we have a choice. We can either choose the stuff from the top line or we could choose the things from that are on that bottom line there. Now, if we had a choice, let me just tell you, the top line is not what you want to be picking from. All right? Yes, I know that oftentimes we have learned to use these things not because we've been educated, but it's what Mom bought. It's what Grandma always used. Grandma always used to have a can of Crisco. Go in the house, it's like this really cool white stuff that's on the counter. It's like, oh my goodness, it's constantly there. You stick your finger in it, it's like, oh wow, sort of like Play-Doh. This is really, really cool stuff. Not healthy. The problem is that as we look at these different products, they cause things like inflammation and bloating. They cause us to be more prone to heart disease and cholesterol issues. we know that these are outcomes based upon using these type of products. And yet the choice is that if we utilize some of these better choice products like the avocado oils and the ghee and the extra virgin olive oil, we get to reduce the tendency towards those problems. Now, listen, if you're not concerned at all about this thing called cholesterol, you could stop this conversation now. It doesn't matter which you pick. But if you have any concern about that particular number, about hearing your physician comment on it, on your blood work, listen, you might want to take that pause moment. These are better choices for all of us. Now, I'm not saying these are the only things that contribute to those numbers, but every little bit helps. And in turn, we want to recognize that, you know what, if we have that opportunity of building up our heart health as opposed to breaking it down, of course we're going to want to do it. And these are pennies a day that we're spending in order to make those better choices. Just like this. You're going to see on that top line things like, you know, your water and your Spindrift. Those things are, you know, choices. We also have on the bottom line Perrier and LaCroix and, you know, some other foreign drinks. They're a choice. Now, maybe, not knowing any better, you would pick things like the Perrier or the LaCroix. Those are choices. Well, unfortunately, they're not really good choices. And the reason is because in the end, they have PFAs. You know, as we look at this, those products stay inside of our bodies. Now, anytime you're ever confused, you know, there's this wonderful thing called Google and Siri. You get to ask it, well, what are those things? And I'm going to encourage you, don't take my word for it. Because in the end, I want you to become educated. I want you to become knowledgeable. I want you to own the information. See, we are what we eat. We also are what we drink. And consuming these products does come with a cost. You know, unfortunately, most times as we're consuming these products, whether it's PFAs, the PPAs, they are hormone disruptors. Now, guys, you might think, that's not that big of a deal. Well, let me tell you, if you have any desire to maintain muscle density, if you have any desire to maintain muscle strength, then you're going to be concerned about the amount of testosterone that you're capable of maintaining in your system. So yes, those little things really do matter. And in fact, as we're looking at picking things like water or the Spindrift type products, well, guess what? It's not carrying all those chemicals. It's not carrying all those things that get into our tissues or disrupt our hormones. It actually helps us from becoming dehydrated. Now, let me just say this now, since you've heard this 1,000 times from me already. Anything that you consume that's not H2O is not considered water. You have to consume enough water to maintain that body of yours. And for most of us, the really good number happens to be half of our body weight in ounces is really where we want to target in order to make sure that we're consuming enough water. It's necessary for our brain function, for our cellular development, our cardiac system. It is absolutely imperative for us to be consuming enough water. Many of you, maybe that's the takeaway from the workshop tonight. I gotta just simply consume my body weight, half of my body weight in water. Oh, we got the mayonnaise. Now, listen, I used to love working with this stuff in the kitchen, working in country club kitchens. We didn't go through these little jars of this stuff. We went through those really big jars of the Hellmann's mayonnaise. And not just a little scoop. I mean, you're emptying the whole thing out in order to mix it with different salads that we're making. But we have a choice. Hellmann's mayonnaise or mayo. Avocado oil. Now, I think most of you already recognize. The better choice is not going to be the Hellmann's mayonnaise. It's going to be the mayo. Now, I dare say a lot of you out there probably have not come in contact with this particular product. Maybe you're not familiar with it. Maybe it's something different. It's not that normal blue label with the ribbon on it. I'm going to stay away from that because it's the unknown. Well, let me tell you, it's a 1-to-1 conversion for regular mayonnaise. In the end, yes, it tastes just a slight bit different. 9 times out of 10, not noticeable to pretty much anybody, all right? But I have to tell you, yes, it does taste just a little bit different. But here's the thing. Unfortunately, traditional mayonnaise, one of the things that is in that is what are called glyphosates. Now, listen, it's a petroleum product. You try and figure it out. Why should there be a petroleum product inside of mayonnaise? Good luck. But what we do know are glyphosates are bad for us, all right? They don't pump out of the system. They're a toxin, and the more you get exposed to it, the more it affects your regulatory system. So if we had a choice, we want to stay away from that stuff because we see everything from heart disease to sensitivity reactions, eczema, allergies that are associated with this particular product. So the better choice would be that mayo product. I'm going to challenge you, if you've never ever tried this, you got to pick up a small jar of it. You have to try it yourself. After taste testing it, I'm going to tell you, you're probably going to recognize that it's safe to convert away from the Hellmann's mayonnaise and make that as your next better choice. Our taco seasoning. We just had Taco Tuesday. We had that on Monday night, by the way. It was an awesome thing. I love Taco Tuesday any day of the week. Now, here's the thing. We got 2 different varieties. We have Old El Paso. You probably have seen this packet in the grocery store, passed up and down the aisle. Listen, you probably pulled that off the shelf a lot of times. We also have the Simply Organic Southwest Taco Seasoning Mix. Now, I'm going to give you a second. I just want you to think about it. Based upon the title, which one of those would you pick? What would be the better choice between the 2 of them? Just going to give you a second. All right. Glad that you guys all chose. Good, because neither one of them is a real good choice. All right? They both stink. Anytime you put enough chemicals into something that's even organic, guess what? It's a really bad choice. We don't need to make just because a bad choice just because it has a special label on it. Not everything that is in the organic section means that it's a really great choice. We're asked this question all the time. You know, what's a good, what's a better choice? Is organic always the better choice? The answer is no. Organic is not always the better choice. Unfortunately, there are things within there, maltodextrin, which causes a lot of gut issues. So many times, one of the simple recommendations is simply to make it yourself. Now, if you think it's that hard, it's really not that hard. Cumin seasoning, garlic powder, chili powder. Listen, it's not that hard. In fact, if you would like a copy of the recipe, do me a favor in the comment section below. Leave me a note. We'll make sure that we send you a copy of this slide. It's simple, it's easy, and you could do this. The wonderful thing, on top of everything else, by the way, you get to bypass all the preservatives, all of those chemicals, and you still get to enjoy Taco Tuesday. So, now, finally, we have this. We have our Hershey's chocolate. Now, I grew up, Hershey's chocolate was the thing. If you went out on a Halloween, you want that Hershey chocolate bar. Not the little things. You want that big, full-size Hershey chocolate bar. Well, listen. Tonight, we're going to be comparing the Hershey's chocolate bar to Enjoy Life chocolate bars, okay, or minis. You know, we're in the kitchen. We're cooking, cupcakes. We're making cookies, getting ready for the holiday season. What would you want to use? Well, in the end, the Hershey's is just not a great choice. if you haven't read the label lately, you should stop and turn the package around and actually read the label. Most of you probably can't say half of the ingredients that are on the package, let alone know exactly what they are. It's a problem. If you don't know what it is, if you can't pronounce the word, please don't eat it. Ultimately, you should be able to answer for the things that you put into your system. And in turn, as we look at things, like emulsifiers that happen to be added into, chocolates in order for them to stay on the shelf, for them to maintain their form, guess what? Emulsifiers equal inflammation. That's the bottom line. You're putting something into the system that has no reason to be there. I'm pretty sure the last time you had your blood work done, there was no line on your blood work that said emulsifier. Well, guess what? Shouldn't be going into the system. Shouldn't be found in the foods that we're consuming, because we are what we eat. We are what we consume. So, in the end, I'm going to recommend doing something really simple. I want you to pause, and I just want you to write down what you're eating, what you're drinking, and to think about the choices that you make. See, the remarkable thing is that oftentimes we don't even think about the choices that we make because we're on autopilot. Why did you choose that? Well, I've done that forever. Why did you pick that over that? Well, because this is just the way it's always been. Why did you cook with this particular ingredient? Well, this is just the way my mom did it and my grandmother did it. I don't know why. I want you to pause, and I want you to think about the choices that you make, because the choices really do matter. See, in the end, I realize these choices, ultimately, they build us up or they break us down. I want you to make those choices that are building this body of yours up. Now, as always, listen, I'm going to ask you to do a couple of things. I've already indicated, I wanted you to leave comments. In fact, if you have something that you're going to proclaim of, I'm going to go ahead and try that, I want to hear about it. If there's something that you want for us to help you actually switch out and change to a better source, to something that's cleaner and healthier, well, leave it in the comment section. We love the opportunity of helping you make better choices. But we can't help you make better choices if we don't know the choices that are in front of you. Now, the final thing is, listen, I love the fact that you can share this information with people on your Facebook and your friends group simply and easily by just hitting share, by just sharing this amongst your community. Because in the end, I realize that most people are out there, they're making the same choices that you're making. And yet, they don't know what you know. The amazing thing is that ignorance is not bliss. Your body doesn't care whether you know what's good or what's bad for you. Once it goes into your body, you're sort of stuck with having to deal with it. And yet, wouldn't you want to save somebody the time, the effort, the inconvenience of being sick around the holidays by just simply helping them make those better choices? As always, I'm looking forward to your comments. I'm Dr. Baker from the Limerick Chiropractic Center.